Winter came early the year the town forgot how to breathe. The first snow fell sideways, thin and sharp as filings from a blade. It hissed against windows and stitched the roads shut by morning. By noon, the sky had sunk so low it felt like a lid pressed over the world. Radios crackled with weather warnings that sounded embarrassed, as if the announcers knew words like blizzard and whiteout weren't big enough. By nightfall, the cold arrived. It wasn't the kind that merely numbed fingers or burned the lungs. This cold had weight. It leaned into doors. It pressed its face to glass. It crept into walls and waited. In the Mercer house, Anna woke to silence so deep it rang. The heater had died. The clock on the nightstand glowed 3:17 a.m., then flickered, then went dark. She sat up, breath fogging the air, and listened. From somewhere far below the wind howled, not outside, but under the sound of the storm, like something huge turning over in its sleep. She wrapped herself in blankets and went to check on her son. Evan's room was colder than the hallway. His breath came in thin puffs. He was awake, eyes wide. "Mom," he whispered, "it's at the window again." Anna forced a smile that hurt her face. "Just snow," she said. "Snow makes noises." He shook his head. "Snow doesn't breathe." She turned. Frost had crawled across the glass in branching veins, thick and opaque, as if something had exhaled there and never stopped. When she leaned closer, the frost retreated slightly, the way a living thing recoils from warmth. Then it came back. A soft scritch sounded from the outside. Slow, deliberate. Anna pulled the curtains shut and didn't open them again. By morning, the town was gone. Not vanished. Sealed. Roads were buried under drifts taller than houses. Cars sat half swallowed, doors frozen open, as if their drivers had tried to flee and failed. Phones had no signal. The radio spat only static, threaded with a low, steady moan. People gathered at the school, the only building with a generator. They spoke in murmurs, their voices frosting the air. Something was wrong with the cold. It crept. The temperature dropped in rooms with no windows. Frost bloomed on the inside of walls. Breath came harder. Thoughts slowed, thickened, and always, there was that sense of being watched, not from outside, but from the very air itself. Old Mr. Halvorsen was the first to die. He'd gone back to his house for his wife's coat. They found him an hour later, standing in his kitchen, perfectly still. His skin was pale blue, eyes rimmed with white. Frost had sealed his mouth open in a silent scream. What terrified them wasn't that he'd frozen. It was that the frost on his face had formed fingerprints, as if something had held him there. That night, the storm eased. The silence returned, heavier than before. That's when the tapping started. Not on doors. Not on windows. On walls. A soft, rhythmic knock, moving through the building. People huddled together as the sound traveled, room to room, patient. Curious. When it reached the gym, the temperature plunged so fast their breath turned to crystals in midair. The lights flickered. Someone sobbed. Then the knocking stopped. In the quiet, a voice spoke. It sounded like wind forced through a throat that had forgotten how to be human. "Cold," it whispered. "So hungry." The generator failed. In the dark, the cold rushed in like floodwater. People ran. Some slipped and didn't get back up. Frost climbed their legs, their torsos, their faces, blooming faster the more they struggled. The thing moved among them, unseen but unmistakable, the air rippling where it passed. Anna clutched Evan and ran. They made it back to the Mercer house somehow, through streets that twisted wrong, through snow that rose and fell like breathing chests. The front door slammed behind them, and Anna dragged furniture against it, though she knew, somehow, doors didn't matter. The cold seeped in anyway. It cooled in corners. It slid under skin. Evan began to shiver so hard his teeth chattered blood. "Mom," he said weakly. "It's inside." She felt it then. Not a presence, but an absence. Heat draining, memories dulling. She couldn't remember summer. Couldn't remember green. She remembered only winter. The walls began to frost over, thick and white. In the center of the room, the air twisted, condensed, and stood up. It had no true shape. A suggestion of shoulders. A hollow where a face might be. Within it, shadows moved, like figures trapped under ice. "Stay," it whispered, so warm, "when you stop." Anna backed away until she hit the wall. Her fingers were numb, her thoughts sluggish. The thing reached out, not with a hand, but with cold so intense it burned. She looked at Evan. His eyes were already frosting over. Something broke inside her then, sharp and sudden. She remembered holding him in a hospital room, years ago, the way his tiny body had been so warm against her chest. She remembered sunlight on skin, fireplaces, summer storms, heat. She grabbed the emergency flare from the drawer, forgotten, red, small. With fingers that barely worked, she struck it. Light exploded into the room. The heat was agony. The thing screamed, a sound like ice shattering across a lake. Frost retreated, shadows tore free and vanished. The cold recoiled, shrank, thinned. The flare burned bright and furious, a tiny sun in a dying world. When it went out, the thing was gone. So was the storm. Spring found the town weeks later, thawing bodies from streets and houses, thawing answers no one wanted. They said it had been a freak weather event. A once-in-a-century cold snap. Anna never argued. She still wakes in winter to the sound of tapping in the walls. She still feels the cold lean close when the nights grow long.